Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to another special edition of Women's History Month, #Choose to Challenge with Dr. Derashay Zorn. I am so excited to have this dynamic woman of God here to talk to us today about messages around women history. Derashay, how are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful, Ms. LaWanna, and I thank you so much for having me here with you on today.
Thank you. Well, before we jump into a conversation, I'd like to give you the platform to tell our listening audience a little bit about you, what's happening in your world, and some exciting things that you have upcoming.
Yes, absolutely. As Ms. LaWanna mentioned, I am Dr. Derashay Zorn, a kingdom strategist. I build strategies so that you may birth and expand in your dreams, your goals, and your destiny. I help individuals, ministries, and businesses with practical solutions so that they may increase their market reach and their income potential. As it's around women, one of the things that I do, I have the I Am Her movement, and it is a movement to help women understand their identity, to help women build the ministry or the business that God had placed on the inside of them while balancing life with family as well. And it is a group of women who just come together to strengthen one another in the endeavors that has been, given unto us, because we're so much better together, right? And so in this particular organization, it is just all about sisterhood. We are also have various platforms to help women really release their sound in the earth. Matter of fact, the I Am movement started or birthed from a book collaboration called The 31 Ways of Influence, Volume 1, where 25 women from different backgrounds and diversities from very spaces within the world. The book was represented by 3 different countries and several different nations. However, we came together with a collective work to help build women spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and personal development, professional development, as well as spiritual development. And so, and that work is still doing great things. In addition to, it took us to 3 other countries. COVID, paused us on some of those, on the other countries that we were to go to. However, it led us into 3 other countries to make an impact in the lives of other women with the I Am Her International Conference. Soon, by the end of this month, we will have the Women 31 Ways of Influence Volume 2 released, right? So that it could definitely make another mark within the lives of women as they are equipped, encouraged, and empowered to move into things that God has called forth in their lives.
I love that. And I love, Dr. Derashay, how you are using multi-platforms to get your message out, to create avenues of change and impact. You said not only domestically, but around the world, whether it's be from your authorship, your movement, your ministry, your strategy sessions, your business consulting that you're doing. And that's dynamic. And one that we encourage women is to look at multiple ways, not only in making income, but multiple ways that we can reach and impact the world. And that brings us up to Women's History Month. We know globally everyone is celebrating this. And we're women 365 days out of the year, not just during the month of March. But when you think about Women's History Month and celebrating it, celebrating our ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon, celebrating the women like yourself today who are living and making history with every breath in their body. What do you want to say to our listening audience about that?
Wow. Okay. So Women History Month, just the thought of just celebrating the work that we're doing as women, whether we are celebrating those of the past or those and those who are currently making history. That says a lot. Many of times we don't get the opportunity, right, to be celebrated, or we don't even stop and pause for the moment to even celebrate ourselves in these journeys that we are taking. Celebration is a vital asset, right, to everything that we do, the milestones that we make. And so I think it's important, in addition to, so that as we highlight individuals who are doing great things and those who have done great things, that it also bring a continuous conversation to the table, as it bring recognition, right, to those of the past and those who are in the present, to the forefront of others. Many people during this particular month, they get the opportunity to learn about people that they have never been exposed to, but those people have made marks, right, within the earth that has some type of way impacted where they are and how they're able to function right here in the world. And so I think it is such an amazing time, right? I think that whoever made the decision that, you know what, we're going to celebrate women in the month of March, that it was something, right, that brought a continuous conversation for women, and the work and the contribution that we have made in society, especially because we're in a space and have been in spaces where our voices have been depressed. And so it gives the opportunity for us to make loud sounds, right, throughout the earth.
I love that. And for our listening audience, we're here with Dr. Derashay Zorn, and I'm Luana Bradford, and I am the visionary and co-founder of Celebrate You, Women Embracing Wellness. And you just heard Dr. Derashay talk about that Women's History Month allows us to celebrate. And the amazing thing is through that celebration, we can collaborate, we can impact, we can make a greater shift and change that we want to see in the world. Now, speaking of change, Dr. Derashay, the hashtag this year, the global hashtag is Choose to Challenge. So tell me how that sits with you. What does it resonate? How that resonates with you? And what are you doing? What is the I Am Her movement doing to challenge?
You know what? That hashtag alone it makes a powerful statement. And it also challenged us to make even major impact within the world. And so when I think about the word choose to challenge, I think about it in so many different aspects. You know, from the ministry standpoint, I think about it from, women who are still, not looked at as leaders or should be leaders within our religious communities, or should even be preaching if for that fact. But however, there are so many of us who are choosing to challenge, right, the mindset of those who have made the decisions that women should not have or the opportunities on these particular platforms to move and do the things that God has called forth in their lives, to release her sound, release the message, that she have. Also think about it from various culture standpoints where we have in many, because we're dealing with global things, where we have, women who that they are not allowed, right, to do particular things, make specific decisions as it concerns themselves, even their household, right? Those type of things. And so making the decision to challenge, culture boundaries, traditions, and, doctrine that does not give women the equal opportunity that is on to them as being a part of humanity, that right there alone. And so that is kind of some of the things that we do in the I Am Her movement, right? In the movement, listen, we help women face those challenges within their society that's keeping them in oppressive states, and we're making a mark and just doing great things. Like we're in the planning of looking at a building, I Am Her facilities in different places in the world, where our first location will be Ghana, to help and train and equip, women and young girls, right? So that they can choose to challenge the adversity that's within their community, when it comes to health, when it comes to education, when it comes to being able to have the voice that they need, right? When it comes to their wealth and their emotional and spiritual well-being, those type of things. And so I'm absolutely excited about that. And even the Choose the Challenge, where we're looking at plans for doing a incubator over in South Africa, right? So that women can have a space where they can come and be equipped in business and in ministry, where they can have a space where they can actually put into action those plans, right, for the ministry and for the business, and a space where they can come and work and be comfortable and have the resources that's necessary, just bridging the gap. Right? Bridging the gap so that they can have the tools that they need so that they can be fully equipped, right, within their society, and having to no longer being oppressed or without the things to appropriately give them the tools that they need to show up in the marketplace as well as in ministry.
I love that. And that's very powerful. When we have been blessed with the resources, the knowledge, the tools and skills, it's one thing to start building our sphere of influence within our local communities, but then to now rise up and take it to the other nations who are seeking that help. And I love the word that you use. You're bridging that gap. You're bringing messages, not just messages of hope. You're bringing solutions. You're bringing tools and resources, creating incubators, creating these facilities and structures where women are going to be able to rise up. So when you think about that, Dr. Derashay, how does it feel to know that your work is not just touching the woman today, but when you shift her life and her mindset and her opportunities, you're now creating a ripple effect that is going to touch generations?
Wow. Well, you know what? Life is about creating legacy. And I believe that what God has given all of us, it is to make an impact that will outlast us. And so it does make my heart feel excited, very warm. It makes me it gives me great joy, especially being one of those women who was counted out, right? Being one of those women who, at some point in my life, I could have not seen myself where I am today. So to be in a place where things have shifted, right? Because other people chose to pave the way, and I took advantage of those things, and now it lifted me up from those areas that I had to challenge. I had to choose to challenge, right, in my environment, in my education endeavors, and things in my mindset, right, and things of that nature. So it brings me, and it delights my heart, and brings me so much joy to know that I can give back the same thing that somebody gave me, which was hope, which was time, right? So that I can choose to challenge.
I love that. Now we're going to shift this conversation a little bit to one of the biggest challenges that women successfully did here in the U.S., was to challenge our ability to vote. And that was in 1920, women were granted the right to vote. Now, we know history paints the picture based on how it wants us to see it. And the one that we see is white women, the suffrage movement. But we don't talk a lot about the fact that the suffrage movement was girded up by African American women, Hispanic American women, Asian American women, and Native American women, all of which did not receive the right to vote until decades later. But not so much to get into a political conversation, but you've kind of teed it up a little bit with your I am her sound. And we're thinking about the voice. The vote is an extension of our voice. So talk a little bit about when you reflect on that history and that legacy and what it means for us today to truly exercise our voice.
Wow. When I think about what the women did collectively, even in the silence, even in the silence of those who did not get the recognition or was in the background, making it happen so that voting, so that we could have or exercise the right to vote, as a woman. And when I think about that in those, I'm excited to know that somebody, right, and a collective of people made a decision to stand up together for a cause, right, for a cause that was greatly needed. And because they did that, it gives us the availability now, right, to even continue what they have started. Listen, they made some breakthroughs, right, within history for women. And we're still in these times, listen, facing challenges as women. And so what they've done in the past, they've left strategies, they left clues, right, on how we can challenge, right, choose to challenge these the things that we are dealing with in this particular time. And so I love to be able to look back and look at footprints, right, and see what was the type of things that did. One of the, like I said, one of the things that I love is that they collaborated together, right? That they collaborated together, and in their collaboration together, that they chose not to stop, even in spite of the diversity and the adversity that was coming up against them. And so we can look at some of the things that they did, and again, take a stand. Using some of those same strategies, right, with putting our current abilities on top of them so that we can make some more grounds, right, when it comes to women's rights, so that we can also make the way, right, for those that are behind us, so that they will not have to deal with the challenges that we are dealing with in these days and time. So I love the blueprint that has been given unto us so that we can be vocal, so that we can make a sound, so that we can eliminate, right, even more barriers that women are facing in these times and these days.
That was beautifully stated, and you're right. There, success leaves clues, and as you eloquently put, a blueprint. So when we look back on history, we can learn, we can see what made it successful in those collaborations, those moments. How can we replicate that today? Because we are a global marketplace. And if we can't come together for the betterment of humanity, for the betterment and advancement of women, then that's pretty sad to think that all that work, all those efforts was for naught. So I love how you package that. And now I want to ask you, like you said, blueprint. There was someone who imprinted on your life. There was someone that you knew personally who has shaped you in ways that has helped you to elevate to who you are, and whose voice you may still hear in your ringing in your ears. Tell us about that woman.
So that would be my grandmother. My grandmother, Gussie L. Williams. She made a tremendous impact, in my life, as she raised us as children. And I've seen a woman of strength, a woman who stood in adversity and figured out ways to make it happen, even without much. To make it happen and to keep a family together in spite of all of the challenges, that were there. I seen a woman who had great hopes and great visions and ideas of those that were behind her descendants, right? Making ways, right, that they did not, or making paths or strides that they didn't have the opportunity to make or being able to do. And so she pushed us, right? In the way that she could, right? In the way that she could with what she had. And so I am proud to say that that the things that I seen her go through, and she continued to strive, and the things that she, the legacy, that she left as well, with the family, so that we can continue to do the things that they just did not have the opportunity to do.
Mm, that's beautiful. This is always my favorite part of the interview. I can just sit back and just hear those nuggets that people who influenced you, and in this case, your grandmother, and what a beautiful testimony to her, and to know that every day you're living out a piece of her. And I think that's just so amazing. When someone imprints upon our lives, their work is eternal, right? Because as we live.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the one thing that I want, before we go, two things. I want you to think about what lasting word would you like to leave to our listening audience when it comes to celebrating women or choosing to challenge, whatever, however you want to spin that. And then lastly, take some time to tell the women and to the listening audience how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know what? Because, I'm always on this end. I'm going to choose the challenge, right? Because I'm choosing that because I know and I understand that whatever it is that's on the inside of you, right? That it is something great. It is something remarkable. It is something that the earth needs. Understand that whatever adversities that you have within your environment that's keeping you or hindering you from advancing or fulfilling the purpose that has been, placed within your heart, that's keeping you from obtaining your dreams, your visions, and your goals. I want you to challenge those things, whether those are internal or external things. I want you to rise up, right? And know that when you make the decision to challenge whatever it is that's in your environment that is a hindrance to you, right, you're going to make a remarkable imprint within the earth. What I do know, and the reason why I say challenge, is because what's in you is not just for your sake. It's not just for your family, but it is to make an impact in the lives, right, that's in your circle of influence. It's also so that other people within the world can have a hold of your brilliance, so that they can, from generations down the line, right, they could be standing on the shoulder of you from that space that you chose to choose to challenge, right? Whatever it is. So I just charge you one today. Charge you. Choose to challenge anything that's in your atmosphere that goes against human rights, that goes against your ability, that goes against, that goes against anything that stop or hinders one's ability to grow and advance. So just choose to challenge, right? And once you make that decision, you're going to break barriers that's going to live beyond your lifespan. I am Dr. Derashay Zorn, and I can be reached at www.derashay.com. That is www.derashay. And you can connect with me on our social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram at Kingdom Strategist, and on Twitter at KB Strategist.
Wow. Thank you so much. This has been an honor and a privilege. I always enjoy listening to you, and I just celebrate you and all that you're doing, Dr. Derashay. To our listening audience, you've heard it here. You've heard some nuggets. You've heard a challenge. Women's History Month, #Choose the Challenge with Dr. Derashay Zorn. Please reach out to her. Follow the work that she's doing, not only locally, but on the global scale. This woman here is making a mark, and you want to be a part of it. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Derashay. And as we always say to our listening audience, love yourself, embrace yourself, and whatever you do, always celebrate you. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.